So Johnny, there were some technical errors last time, so I'll tell you where we were at. We were at, everything was set up. We had four males that rarely ever were with you, and they were with you. And it all started, you said there was the valley, and that's where we left off, and so nobody knows what actually happened to you.
Oh, okay. It's pretty back to the origin. Okay, so there we are in a valley in the Gingy Hills, we're about 20 kilometres east of Tiruvannamalai, and we'd already made a camp with the kids up on the hill in this cave, this famous cave up there, and we'd come down to a swimming hole down at the bottom, and where we spent the day swimming that day, and it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and Ginny had taken the bulk of the kids back up to the cave for the afternoon, and I was there with actually all the men and about 6 kids, and most of them were swimming, but then Zozo and his sister Leia, they'd caught these freshwater crabs, and they were racing them down this mossy incline that the kids had used as a wet slide. So they were racing them down. I mean, the crabs weren't really racing; they were just being carried by the water, really. But it gave an imitation of a race. And the crabs, I remember, were named Compromise and Last Resort, and so I was inspired by the names to commentate their race. So I was sort of beside them, them beside me and them, and I was sort of trying to get ahead of them to see where the crabs were going to race down the bloody thing when I actually stood just over the edge of the thing onto the moss without realising it, and it just really did an incredible slide and bang, landed crash on my hip without, I immediately thought, God, I never felt like that before in my life. I've fallen many times, but I've never broken a bone. But when I fell then, I thought, oh God, And then I skidded down the incline, this mossy incline, and into another rock. And I think actually I hit the same place again on the rock down there, because there's no other mark on my body where I would have hit anything. It was a big bruise actually around where I hit it. And I lay there in this water with Krishna standing over me going, can you get up, Johnny? And I'm going, well, I don't know, mate. So I sort of lay there. The water was cold, so it felt good, eh? The water was quite cold, and so I lay there in the water quite good, because that felt sort of...
Actually, that's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, sort of therapeutic, So then I finally, and Krishna's going, well, we've got to see whether you can walk or not, So anyhow, he levers me up under my feet and props me against a rock, and I have this very distinct feeling that like a puppet where the peg's been pulled out of my hinge. And this just doesn't work, And I was thinking, maybe it's just dislocated, just dislocated, because it wasn't really painful. I mean, it was painful, but it wasn't like, I always hear these stories of when you break a bone that it's like screamingly painful, but it wasn't that painful. It was, it was painful though. So maybe it's not a big deal, and I've just dislocated it. And then I got Andreas, who's with me, who's this Estonian, and he's a healer, he's an acupuncturist, and he's a doctor in his own right, and he felt the bone and where it was hurt and where it wasn't, and he pushed his fingers sort of into the thing, and he felt, and he said, I don't think it's dislocated. I think you've broken the neck of the femur, which is where it bends to go into your spine. You got the femur's got a crook on it at the top. A little crook. And then
there's a ball over
and then between the crook and the thing is what they call the neck. And the neck is where you normally break. That's what Patrick broke when he fell off his bicycle 10 years ago. Anyhow, he said, look, I think that's broken, and we've got to get you out of here. And so then it was amazing that everyone ran in circles. Nobody really knew what to do immediately, because it was by then it was 2:30 in the afternoon. We were at least 6 hours from the road in the forest over some pretty arduous turf, and